What it do, fam? Back at it. Mask Uncovered Podcast. We got J Defense in the house. JAYDFENCE. Hit me up on all platforms. Of course, we got
your boy Hollywood Skids. You know what it is. Back again at you. Real important interview today, though, so a little more serious. You know, a lot of bullshit we do, but tonight, a little more serious. We got a special guest in the house tonight.
Let me let y'all know who we got in the house, man. Some of y'all might know him by face, some might know you by name, but either way, this is my man Stanley Greene. He's a Boston native, 2 kids, one's a stepdaughter, you know what I mean, but still his own. Yeah, you can put that on mute, whatever. Now this kid right here, he grew up, he's actually definitely a spiritual individual. He attended Boston public schools before getting kicked out. Then he eventually graduated from Cathedral High. After graduating, he slipped into the street life, got incarcerated, played with drugs a little bit. But after all of that, he changed his life around. He graduated from Springfield College in 2010. He worked 10 years for the Street Boston. He was part of the grassroots team that actually produced and started the mental and behavioral health agency, which was called Pyramid Builders. He was part of the BU Leaders Program, part of the Street Safe Boston, mentored, coached the youth of Boston for the last 30 plus years. Last but not least, he will have his master's in August of 2022. So everybody, Mask Uncovered Podcast, warm welcome for my man Stan Greene right here, man.
Stizzo! Long time friend, man. So a little more personal for me. I've known him since grade school, my dude.
Let's get it.
But we're gonna get right into the questions, Stiz. I mean, jump right into it, cuz my question is, me and you, we known each other since grade school, cuz.
Oh yeah, man. We go back to rocks, nigga.
My dude. Positive path we both was on for a minute.
That's right.
My question is, where did you derail from going to school, advanced classes, me and you thinking the future was pretty, to going the direction you went? It's a 2-part question. So where was the derailment and what changed to get you back on track?
Oh man, you know, the jump off that's real simple, man, is that it's outcomes, man. It's outcomes, man. Like, being smart got boring. You know?
Feel you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, coming through a situation, man, where I'm in advance, in that process of advance, dealing with busing, dealing with beefing, and it's like, yo, in a regular ed class, I excel.
Right.
In the advanced class, I didn't meet the standards.
Right.
And in the process of not meeting that, not really figuring out where you fit in at, but then I come to the crib, man, I got to deal with some stuff, man, that's going on outside of my door, man, that, you know, there's 2 things you do. Either you get in or you sit on the side. My energy wasn't sitting on the side. So, you know, one thing led to another. And the best experience that came out of that is the fact that I'm alive now. Because now I rewrite the story. The story is not going to tell the story about me. I rewrite that.
Right.
now. Sorry. Well,
the second part of that, what got you back on track, Stan? Because you know me, I know you all my life, and
you know what's crazy about it is that my son just walked through the door. That's what got me back on track. Because, you know, going through the hustle game, going through the shelter game, going through the drug game, I knew there was one thing I wanted to do, man, is make sure, man, that my son didn't catch the same deal I caught. I can't change the hand that I'm dealt, man, but I don't have to adjust to it.
Right.
And the adjustment was having a son.
Now, not to really backtrack, but like, if you was to look at it, like you said, okay, going to public schools, being kicked out, then still graduating from Cathedral High and what have you. When you look at your circumstances, would you put the blame on like peer pressure, society? Like, was it the home front? Was it things like at home? And obviously, you don't have to get too deep, too personal as far as
the short money response to that, man, is that, listen, man, I came from a community that didn't meet the need of somebody that was already naturally gifted. I was naturally gifted, yo. I'm at 50 years old, getting ready to get my master's. I was naturally gifted, and when you couldn't meet my need, and you want me to focus on the civil rights movement, you want me to focus on busing, No, focus on the intellect that I bring to the table. You didn't meet my need.
So that along those lines. So that it's kind of like a lot of stuff wasn't directed to promoting and educating inner city youth into something that we believe in or that we can be involved in. Would you say that? Because you're talking about 30 years ago.
No, it didn't meet the needs of my caregivers. I love my mother to death. When
so even deeper than that, like 60 years ago.
Peep game. When I came home, my mother said, "Don't worry about what's going on the bus." How you not gonna worry about what's going on the bus when my windows are busted, man? And then whiteys are coming inside South Boston High through the back door talking about, "Listen, let's get it in." No. And then you gonna tell me go to school and get a good education? Somewhere along the way, man, I love my mother to death. You didn't meet my needs.
And that jumps right into one of my questions, bro, because I deal with this every day to this day. How did busing affect you? Because that was treacherous. Remember, Stiz, like you said, motherfucking Whitey's busting in the door. Whitey chased me through the building. Like, it was bad. It affected me mentally because I was scared. Like, we were one of the first groups to be bust from meeting the motorcycles at Harbor Point, or used to be Columbia Point, and they escorted me to Southie. But the busing, man, back to the question, how did that affect you, Stan?
What years was this? Early 80s, like 82?
Late 70s, early 70s, early 80s.
Okay. Yes, I just want to
having a mother that was Southern raised, and I worshiped the ground she walked on, I learned to accept that, man. She understood the value of resiliency. I didn't understand that, and I questioned it, and I challenged that, and to this day, with a 70-year-old plus mother, I appreciate it, man, because what she showed me, man, is that at the end of the day, man, it's not about what you go through, man. It's the fact that you do not have to chase the finish line. You just got to stay in the game.
My man. And I definitely agree, because we have similar backgrounds, similar mothers, went through the same issues, and we still here, man. And that's why you're one of the, an activist. Like, a lot of people talk about it. People don't know what an activist is. This guy's an activist. He's active in his community. There's a lot of people talk about what we should do, but they're on their couch talking about the shit. Stan, I know him since, like I said, grade school, and I see him to change, to mature, to grow, and I see he's really involved in his community in the city.
And for somebody that met him, within the last 5 to 7 years, all I've seen from him, learning and dealing with him personally about his past, what have you, seeing the man he is today, really sparked this idea and created, with Hollywood knowing him for years, we had to get an individual like him on this podcast. Now, of course, dealing with that treacherous past, what have you, the things you're doing today, what's the main focus? Like, what's the main point? Like, so obviously when you was in the streets, you had an idea of, like you said, short money or what have you. What's your ideas now? Like you said, your son was part of that. Is it all sons across the inner city? Is it?
Nah, you know what it is, man. This conversation for you to be able, for me, you to see still JD, man, is that it's attraction. I was attracted to you and JD when Trash brought you up to the park. There's a certain aura that you bring, man. Every black man ain't designed with authority. When you understand the authority that you possess, you don't sit up here and compromise it. What happened, I compromised the authority that God has given me through my ancestors for years. For years. I'm catering to people, man, that I'm looking at, man, that don't match the same intelligence that I have. I'm catering to you, and you're a crash dummy, and at the same time, I'm crashing with you because somewhere along the way, I minimize what I have.
All right, you got to stop there. You got to let that breathe. You got to let that breathe, because what you just said is so impactful, right? All right. So now, with that being said, how did you identify that within yourself? How did you find that? How did you know that? How did you say, why am I fucking up? Why am I down this road when there's more to me? What was that turning point to know that?
See, some people sit up here and say spirituality. I'm going to say my ancestors, man.
Okay.
From the heavens above, man. I breathed through my grandparents, my great-grandparents. I breathed through those, man, that didn't get to where I'm at, man. I can be sitting doing some shit that don't make no damn sense, and something that hit me and tell me what you doing don't make no sense. And I know that come from the ancestors that exist in me, man. I give value to those, man, that walk the path before me. And this stuff here, man, it ain't designed for me to sit up here and capture how I went wrong. I be laying in the bed, man, and something hit me, yo. Right. What you doing ain't right, yo.
Right. And another question is this: I grew up, like I said, were there OGs who engaged you in the bullshit, and also OGs who always told you positive when you was engaged in the bullshit? Meaning, some OGs was like, nigga, take this gun, take this pack, go do this, man. This is a real nigga, this is real that. But then there was other guys in the block come from work, taking care of their mothers. Maybe not told us, but we seen. Were there those type of influence in your lives too?
You know the shit that has me tripping right now? I celebrate the future where I'm at. Because the culture where we come from came from multiple levels of culture. It's like buckets of culture. Certain things that people gave me was the tools to survive in the situation I was in. So I can't sit up here and discredit where it came from. Now I can value where I know that stuff right there was the season that I was in to get through it.
Wow.
It's not designed, man, to sit up here and discredit where you come from, man. God will put people in your life that you sit up here and be like, whoa. And I get through it, and then you know what? They have no value later.
Right. And not to discredit it, but at the time we didn't know. You know what I mean? Like you said, OGs in my hood was telling me negative shit because that's all they knew. I'm not discrediting them, but now as an adult who I am, I understood what they was doing. I don't want to do to the youth now. That's all I'm saying. It worked. It helped me get out of situations, like you said, but I can still recognize who was blind at that time too now as I'm an adult and who helped me then. That's all. Never discredit where I came from, the people I discredit.
I totally agree with you, right? They wasn't blind. They was surviving. The benefit of what we have right now sitting with this podcast, is we're living and they never got the chance to live. We're living through them, man. Like the reason that they gave us the game, man, and they may not maximize the game that we got, because we know how to live, man. Because now we're grandparents, yo. We're parents, yo. And we sit 3 in a row, man, talking about education.
Exactly.
We done hit milestones that them dudes sitting on the block, man, will never hit, man. But they put them seeds in us to make sure we hit the things that they didn't even know what they're gonna reach.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, but there's another part of that too. Like, there's some of our peers that I know better, still didn't do better. So I still look back at, like, y'all a tad older than I am, what have you. Some of them so-called OGs or what have you was picking and choosing when and how. Some of them were grandparents at the time when they sit up here like, hey, youngin', grab this burner, go do this work, or take this pack, get this off.
Right.
Yet still they was going home to their son and their grandson, like, you know what? You know, they knew what life was like. They knew it could be better, but they wasn't preaching and showing that. So it's a dynamic, like you said, in some aspects.
Right.
Then we'll catch that's like, well, I'm gonna get it how I live.
Right.
Fuck each one, teach one. I'm a wolf, so I gotta, make sure I get mine. So that's part of some of them OGs we gotta look at too. Like, damn, like, yo, you did do me a disservice. You knew better. Some of them just didn't. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, we all know there's some of them out there that just didn't know better. They grew up with, poor circumstances like us all, but like poor in a different way. Like, they didn't have that church bringer. They didn't have grandma around. Like, they grew up like at 5 years old, mom was already on the stuff, and like they had to get it out the mud. There's a few of them like that.
Right.
But I'll be damn pressed to sit up there and say all of them was like that. A few of them know what grandma and grandpa was.
That's
they
what I
actually
meant.
knew what a church
That's what I
was.
meant,
So
yeah.
some of them OGs are like, yeah, thank you for what you taught me. Because I could say some few names that, like, I remember being a youngin' and, like, you wanted to smoke a little cigarette after you drinking a 40 or something. And one of my OGs on some was like, oh, nah, you don't want to hit this one. He know what he did. He had the woolly cigs, what have you.
Yeah,
and he like, nah,
evil
listen.
motherfucker.
Yeah, and he'll be on some
evil
shit.
motherfucker.
But I think about, like, DMX, how somebody slid him one. Like, this was an OG sitting right here, like, yo, on some shit like, oh, nah, you don't want to check of this.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, some of them cats, and I respect this dude to this day now. And, like, when I see him, I tell him that all the time. But either way, some of them other dudes who knew better, they should have done better. But now we're all in a position. I don't want to dwell on this, but like, back to you. So now you're in that position, and you're taking full advantage of that. What are you doing today? Like, what are some of the steps that you've already taken and we'll get to your future plans. But what are some of the steps that you've already taken? Like I already announced a few of the things. Working for the City of Boston, 10 years plus, creating the mental health program with BU.
My thing, man, is that I hold on to Kwanzaa principles, man. Like, you know, Kwanzaa principles, man, talk about building up things around you, right? You know, and I'm old school, man. I'm not going to sit up here, man, and sit up here and talk about the rites of passage to the game. What comes down to it is that the game is not designed for us to be successful, man. You know, the relationship between an imagination, man, and the reality, man, is far few in between, man. Very few of us, man, don't understand, man, to cultivate a dream and turn that imagination, that thought, that feeling into action steps. We didn't include incarceration. We didn't include in cemeteries. Some of the best dreams that will never be told, man, are in prisons, man, in the cemeteries that, you know what, we will never see how that shit play out. True. We didn't include that.
True.
So guess what? I look for like-minded people. Like-minded people, and I give myself permission to submit to you. When you give yourself permission to submit to another man, that tells you that, listen, man, I don't have to have the answers to the whole thing,
That's grown
man.
man shit right there.
I just need to be part of the solution.
There you go. And right now, still, like I said, you winning now, bro. I'm proud of you. I seen it from day one, from me and you in grade school to where we at now, man. Like I said, I seen the growth. I know it. I'm so proud of you, bro, man. I really mean that, man. And I just want to know what now in the future. Like, what is your you're such a community activist. Like, you love your community where you came from. I see the work you put in. What's a perfect community or bet? Like, where do you want your community to be in the future?
I want you to be from the hood, man, but don't have the hood mindset. You know what? Understand, man, that we're not powerless. We're powerful. We're not invisible. We're visible. That you don't have to sit on no park bench, man, and talk about what it should be, man. And when the 40's gone, man, the thought's gone. You know what? Action steps move the ground, man. It's like when you move the pavement and you move the ground, man, it turns into dollars and cents, man, through priceless things that don't cost no money. The value that I deposit in somebody else's life is for them to sit up here, man, when I'm dead and gone, man, and sit up here, man, and piss on that tree and say, you know what, this nigga's name Stan told me this shit back in the day 30 years ago. Job done.
That's right, my dude.
When you ask a question like that, what would you say would be the most important factor for like inner city youth coming up now to be different, to be a part of building, to be living in the hood but not be hood? Would you say, and I'll give you a couple of examples just in case, I don't want to just be a bland question. Would you say education's the focus? Would you say trades are focus? Because it's hard if we're sitting here talking to millions of people, which this podcast will eventually reach. You want to say to the youth, what? Get your college degree. Go to a trade school. Or you know what? Do better. Create your own business. Be an entrepreneur. Just along those lines. What would you just say if you was to pick one or two things if you're living that life?
Peep game. I apologize to you for all those niggas that failed you and fucked you up, yo. I want to let you know, man, when you look at me, man, understand, man, I'm not that same failed adult, yo. Can you see me through your eyes for me? Will you give yourself permission to understand, man, that when you feel like I have a failed experience because of one of them adults that failed you, give yourself permission to ask me, Stanley, are you going to fail me like that same adult that let me down? I didn't have that permission to say.
That's the answer to my question in one quote, because I was going to ask you, is there something you could say to the youth of today to give them a little advice on who's going the same path we've gone? Shit.
I'm going to people like this, right? If we do not sit up here and sit at the ramparts, man, to make sure, man, that some of these willy whistle niggas don't come around here and peep this game at the expense of hustling off our kids, and we sit on the sideline and say because he's a politician, because he's an elected official, and don't hold him accountable, we let them down, yo.
A lot of people walking around with these blinders on, like I said. You're so right. I hope this does reach a lot of people. If it can reach one person and make one person open their eyes, we did a lot tonight.
Toast to the real show.
And in addition, like I want people to always understand, like how we're always being truthful. That's why this is Mask Uncovered podcast. Right. Looking at two brothers up here that has been incarcerated, have done time. And look at another brother that's from the same type of area, same inner city.
That's the souls that ain't there no more.
And I actually have 2 college degrees. So the separation of the two is it's a different dynamic. But all in all, although I might have played or what have you, I think God blessed me to be on a certain better side of the fence in some areas, but to meet like-minded people. Like I said, I was able to meet a person like a Charlie Rose early on in my life when I was like in the peer leadership programs and things of that nature. But he actually was able to, show me different sides of the world, but also being involved in like peer leadership programs, like with the Lenny Jackson, where we was able to take trips and activities, like we was able to go to Taunton, Mass, to do bumping cars. We was able to go camping trips in Anytown, Mass. And when you sit behind them brick buildings every day, all day, and all you're seeing is the same stuff, to get out and then you're driving in certain areas and you see nice houses and you're in towns and not just Caucasian people, but that's pretty much what it was at that time, because you're visiting, prevalent places or what have you. And just to see, it was something that sparked my mind, like, wow, like there's something outside of this. So I always thought that if we gave more opportunities to inner city youth to get out of the hood, to see different things, to see that there's a different life out here, instead of just TV shows and things of that nature, like, because the Cosby Show, as great as it was, and I love it, I'm not knocking that, but it was far-fetched when you living in the hood or what have you, and this is what you see. It's kind of like, okay, this is just fictitious. Like, we can't get that.
It wasn't realistic. It was just a dream.
So again,
you had a dream, JD.
Well, I'm part of it.
Schizo,
damn right.
We're the dream, yo.
You're the dream. We're the dream. We're the dream.
We all the same, man. Some of it's just a luck of the draw. You know what I mean? Like, me and you might have been incarcerated, went different directions, but motherfucker, you was in a situation where it could have easily been you.
Many.
It's just a luck of the draw with this shit.
I thank God for all of them. Yes. So, we love to see where we are. This was a great opportunity to sit down and deal with somebody that's actually doing something, that's putting his foot forward. Like I might say, and again, I coach kids or what have you, and I'm still trying to be a part of the youth in my community. That's one aspect.
You're part of it.
I praise the work that you're doing, though. Like I know
you too, man. You're part of it, yo.
Even creating that basketball league where you're bringing inner city youth together, and not even just youth. You got 30-year-olds coming up to that park, man.
18
I've been
to
a pleasure,
35, man.
And it's
they
been a pleasure
from all
to see
over
you.
the city, yo.
And I love to see that, man.
And you know what? And we're bringing everything that the energy's supposed to bring, man, when you're coming from a grassroots pioneer situation. We're not designed to make this thing successful. But what happens, man, when we don't settle, we're successful, man. We always been successful. I go to the first floor to get the cheese. I go to the third floor to get the eggs, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to split this meal, man.
And I don't care.
That's why we mask uncovered. We unmask it all the time at the end of the night. Interviews.
We didn't call it government cheese. We call it a meal, man.
And we didn't mind the hills. The inbred, they all call it the inbred right now. We got a few more dollars, so we might toss that.
The block of cheese, they were free.
Man,
shit, nigga. What?
Back in the days,
they made the best cheese and grits.
Yo, back in the days,
it took an hour to melt, nigga. But shit.
I know. They're dying.
But Pete, you remember how you had the inbred? Like, now right now, if we had the inbred, you'd be throwing that shit like, who the fuck just let the inbred, right? Back in the days, if you went in the kitchen and you found bread, I don't give a fuck. It was 3 pieces sliced up, a little bit of green on the bottom. You knock that up, man. Listen,
mayonnaise sandwich went a long way.
Yo, we came
talking about.
Listen, we came from
syrup
that,
sandwich, nigga. What the fuck going on, nigga? You kids is fucking excellent out here. Fuck y'all out here gangbanging for. Y'all living good.
Don't believe that.
So listen, man, it's definitely good to leave on a great note,
Yes,
man. I
yes,
feel like y'all got to learn and meet a good person that I'm happy and I'm pleasure to have met. I'm glad that you're around, that you're a great community organizer, and I hope and pray that there's just more and more bigger and better things in store for you, man.
From
Appreciate
all
you
ball
being
players,
there.
nigga, bring it in. Bring it in.
Yeah, let's
Bring
go.
it in, nigga.
On three.
On three. We're all winners. 1, 2, 3.
All winners.
All right,
This
man.
nigga.
Thank y'all for tuning in, man. This is the end of our interview. Yo, again, man, J Defense, man, JAYDFNCE.
Your boy Hollywood Skids, you know what it is.
You want to give out
brothers,
your
I
social
love 'em,
media?
man.
Give out your social
Yo,
media.
I'm here with them.
All right, man.
Yo, you check in with them, you'll find me.
All
Love
right,
y'all.
man. Peace, man.
That shit's dope. Hey, listen.
Oh, my dude. Bring back.